funny.
This is exactly what happens when you put teenage boys and girls together. You know what you get? Hijinks. And I don't like hijinks. I like my jinks low.
So I've been trashing Zoey 101 for quite some time now. When I was growing up, I had a respect for the show. I was like, okay, this is funny, it's witty, clever, but I always found myself changing the channel, and I don't quite remember why. It would also confuse me because of how much people liked it. Now, looking back to the first season, it's apparently very clear. But why don't we dive into every episode of the first season and try to figure out what it is that makes it so off-putting.
It means I'm like the substitute in case Logan quits or gets sick.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay, for the pilot of Zoey 101, we have Welcome to PCA. Fairly simple title. It starts off with the blonde family driving down the Pacific Coast Highway.
You can't hold it for just 5 more minutes?
I've got 20 ounces of water and a 10-ounce bladder. Stop the car!
We don't really get a feel for the kids' personalities, which is going to be a recurring issue, as you'll see. The dad's worried about dropping him off, and we meet Chase as he hits a flagpole on a bike. He says he'll show them around, but at first the dad doesn't trust him, and then he just gives away his daughter to this random teenage boy, which is pretty accurate for parents of the 2000s.
Wanted me to walk you there.
No, that'd be great.
We essentially get like a tour of PCA, and it seems really awesome. I feel like the whole aesthetic of the show is what sells it. This whole private boarding school idea. And even though Dustin looks a little young to be a part of it, it's still exciting if you're a kid and want to live on your own. It's very cheesy and comical. There's a urinal in their bathroom.
That's the matter. This is a girls' dorm, and that is clearly not for girls.
Which is a natural way to kind of talk about how PCA was all boys at first, and it's only been this year that they announced all girls. We essentially get a moment with each character learning about Dana being this tough to deal with.
That one. But that's my stuff. That'll be moving.
Nicole is this boy crazy girl.
Except use those urinal thingies, which apparently they don't sit on.
Zoey is the most blank person I've ever seen. She is perfect to project onto because she is exactly what every episode needs her to be.
Oh no, that's my bud Jim. What's up, Jim?
What's up, Jim? I like Jim.
Yeah, Jim's good people.
She sees that the guys are playing basketball and wants to join, but they meet Logan, who says they can't join because they're girls. Exactly what you would expect to when you walk into a dormitory like this.
Good.
Friday?
Why not?
You're on.
See you here.
Wanna make out?
No!
Zoey ends up challenging him to a game, girls versus boys, but none of the girls are into it, and they're kind of annoyed that she signed him up for that, which I would be too, Zoey. Like, I don't have to play sports. They're pretty set that they won't win, but they try it anyway, which is bold enough for me.
And the game's not till Friday. So we're gonna practice hard and we're gonna win.
The game is really funny. We get like a little glimpse of each of the girls, and Logan plays dirty and actually pushes Zoey over, which sucks because apparently Zoey ends up getting back in the game and being really good at it. How? Meanwhile, her brother Dustin is watching but too embarrassed to cheer for the girls, but gets over it by the end, which is really sweet. After the girls lose, you think it's like a negative ending, but then the coach is like, yeah, we should definitely have girls on the team because of how good they are.
Coach, are you seriously gonna put a girl on our team?
Hey, you catch on quick for a guy.
Which is a good ending. I don't know why all the adults in this show are blonde so far, though. You can't argue that that's building the world. The boys show up to their celebration party, and it becomes a lot more about unity between boys and girls, which is a really good premise. It sucks where the show goes from here. They end up decorating the urinal, and it kind of looks like a shrine in a really religious way, but I do think it's very cute. The overall message, like, never quit and girls could be just as good as boys, is a really strong premise for a pilot. Like, this pilot is really strong. Does it compare to the other teen shows? Honestly, I think this is a lot better. If you only showed me this pilot, I'd be like, wow, this is a really promising show. It definitely became more of a Flanderization of itself and or too quirky to actually follow a plot, let alone its original premise of girls attending a boys' dormitory, but I feel like when we actually lean into that premise is when the show is at its best.
What's this?
It's cool that they have this whole thing about Zoey wanting to be on the team, but the fact that this never comes up again in the season is kind of weird. I feel like the show would have been a lot stronger if it was more about her trying to be involved in sports and dealing with the sexist issues of the place, but at least we still kind of keep that through line. Okay, so for episode 2 of Zoey 101, we have new roommates. We're taking a break from Zoey even wanting to do sports at all in the first episode, and kind of moving on. So Zoey writes to her parents about her roommates. We get a little nice voiceover of her describing what her life is like, which is kind of cheesy. And her roommates keep fighting. Dana and Nicole are so obnoxious and annoying.
Will you tell your friend that waking me up every morning is inconsiderate? No. I'm inconsiderate? You're the bad roommate. Look at your messy bed.
Chase tries to get Zoey, but you can never really tell if she likes him back. Like, we're coming from the perspective that she does, because we know that later in the series, Zoey ends up inevitably liking him. But as we're looking for hints to see, like, if she does care about him back, it is so wishy-washy. Like, I don't know what's going on in Zoey's head.
Foosball. You know, if you like foosball. The girls like foosball because if you don't, we could, like, knit.
I like foosball.
Yeah, foosball's cool.
But, like, sometimes she's like, oh, I want to spend time with him, and other times she's like, no, it's only when it's convenient, and it's like both scenarios don't really work out for her. And I don't understand why it is like this because of it being a drama first. Like, it feels like comedically that would be fine if she kept dodging it, but it just seems like she's very indifferent, which makes me like her less. We find out that Dustin spent his whole money on gummy worms, which is kind of like me in college with candy. And he's like, I gotta live off $15. And apparently they both make $15, which, that's your allowance? I didn't even know people did that.
That's Quinn. She lives in my dorm.
I saw her having lunch by herself, so I sat down next to her, you know, being friendly and all. And she started feeling my food.
And I didn't realize that Quinn wasn't necessarily in the pilot super much until we see her more in this episode, which is very inviting. Like, I feel like Quinn is a very quirky character that definitely earns it, and she's very interesting to watch. Zoey tries to be nice to her, which is almost a glimpse into her personality at all, but it doesn't really seem to go super well. When Zoey confronts her bad roommates, they're basically, like, trying to come up with a reason why she's a bad roommate, too.
I didn't say I was perfect. Well, good. Because you're not.
Yeah, you bug us too sometimes.
Oh, really? Like how?
Well, you know.
And they say she keeps losing her key, which turns out to be true, so it's like, I don't know if that's even a comedy beat. Zoey inevitably has to move in with Quinn because she's not getting along with her roommates anymore, which is fair. They're kind of toxic, Zoey. Oh my gosh, look, Zoey sleeps with a spotlight on her. Have you ever went to sleep and then you had a single light completely on you while you slept? Like, it's so funny to look back and see all these aesthetic choices. Quinn literally hooks Zoey up with a bunch of random wires while she's asleep to monitor her dreams.
What are you doing? Monitoring your dreams. I think you might be having a nightmare. I am now!
Which is way further than any normal character would go, which is why it's like, why is this not a comedy? If anything, it's psychopathic if it's not. And Dustin's whole through line is that he wants to teach Spanish but doesn't know any of it. How is this like a second episode premise?
You're gonna make money by tutoring people in Spanish? Cool idea, huh? Yeah, except you don't speak Spanish.
We see a little bit of Mark DeFigolo in the Spanish teaching section, but we don't really know him as his character yet, so I don't count this as him. Even though, yeah, it definitely is him.
¿Por qué, Mark? ¿Por qué?
I want my $4 back.
Chase's roommates convince him that the more that Zoey and her roommates fight, like her and Quinn, the more she'll want to be with him, which is very manipulative.
Because the second she makes up with them, it's bye-bye, Chase.
But Chase actually takes this to heart, tells her that, hey, you know, let the situation simmer. And Zoey's like, well, I want to solve it. And he's like literally talking her out of it, which is crazy because it's like, obviously, if she goes back to her original roommates, it might be even better for both of them. Like, why does she need to leave Quinn? And I don't know which is better, like fighting roommates or an experimental lady. I don't know.
Zoey, I don't want to live with you anymore.
Huh?
Quinn asks Zoey to move out, which is crazy because apparently she's too uptight because she won't accept her experiments, which is so funny. I'm so glad that that ends up happening because Zoey wanted to like leave anyway, but it's just good that Quinn beat her to it. Inevitably, they kind of all make up because they miss Zoey. And so she moves back into the dorm and they promise that they'll be a little bit better. Which, I don't know, it doesn't really feel completely resolved, like they're still never getting along. And when Chase and Zoey finally get to like go on their one-on-one date, it turns out not to be a date because the roommates come too, and they're already arguing. So Chase gets all the negative flack for Zoey's issues, which is not going to be the first time, even though we're in episode 2.
Yeah, so I invited them to the movies. That's cool, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Very cool.
Well, then let's go.
Overall, it's scary to see Chase act like this already. But, you know, I guess he has a crush on her, so that causes people to act nuts. And seeing one character as opposed to all 5 when we were in the pilot, like Quinn, getting introduced to Quinn is really fun. And it definitely gives us a vibe of this show being exciting, which it's like, if this was a comedy, it would be a lot more interesting to watch, but to know that they're going to purposely kind of dial back the personalities to focus on PCA, it's not exciting. But I do get excited at seeing more aspects of PCA. Like the fact that they can go see a movie is interesting to me. The fact that they can leave and be in other people's rooms for a while. The fact that you could hide a dog in somebody's room is even wackier. But anyway, we get more into that in the next episode, episode 3, Defending Dustin. Okay, so we got an episode about Dustin, even though he's been so minute so far. He kind of reminds me of the plot lines that Jackson has in Hannah Montana, where he's not 100% involved in what Zoey's doing, it's just kind of going on in the background. So he's getting bullied for being too smart, which is something I did not expect. I thought he would be one of those, like, slacker kids, but he's not. He's actually a really promising kid. I definitely didn't get that impression when he was trying to be a Spanish teacher. Like, where was that?
¿Por qué, Rosalita? ¿Por qué?
There's like a bully in his class that like kind of messes with him because he's so smart and forces him to do his homework, which is really disrespectful. And Dustin actually is too scared of him because he's huge. And they look like they would be in completely different schools because of how huge he is. Like, they don't look like they would even be peers. Zoey and Chase meet a janitor that is a struggling actor, and he has a funny line about it.
You know, Herb's an actor.
Nice.
Struggling actor, and nah, I didn't get the part.
And you think this isn't relevant, but this does actually come up later. Zoey starts getting ridiculed by Chase because she starts standing up for Dustin in ways that are really embarrassing, like in front of his friends, in front of the bully. Like, Zoey is very mom energy toward Dustin, and Chase kind of has a point. Like, it's a little embarrassing to be a teenage girl and be insistent on taking care of your little brother. While it is sweet, and I definitely think it's a character strength of her to be so defensive, it definitely does not help Dustin, and it bothers me that she's like unwilling to see that, especially with how much Chase is pointing it out to her.
Everyone gets hurt sometimes. You never been hurt?
No, not by a big dumb bully.
Well, then maybe it's time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Give me your lunch money, Earl. Ow!
They have a weird moment where Chase actually noogies Zoey, and it's like, they're kind of playful, but I don't think either of them enjoy it, and it's uncomfortable to watch. But I get what they're going for here, like they want to show that they're friends, and yeah, they're definitely friends. I don't need to know more. And Dustin does his bully's homework by staying up all night, which is so funny, because he's like such a little kid, like, can you see this little kid drinking coffee and doing somebody else's homework? Like, you feel horrible about it.
And he's huge. His head weighs more than I do. Did he threaten to hurt you? It was implied.
Meanwhile, Chase is hiding his dog with the girls. I didn't even realize that there was a dog in PCA. Turns out that it's not allowed, and that's why they're trying to get it hidden. His name's Elvis, and it's cute, but it's like, I feel bad for this dog because there's no way he's not being neglected. Like, you can't take him for a walk. You can't do anything if he's not supposed to be there. Like, I don't get why they're taking care of him. Like, this is a horrible situation for this dog. Zoey makes things literally so much worse for Justin by approaching the bully, which Chase warns her not to.
Bother him again, and you're gonna deal with me.
Ooh, watch out, dude. The kid's got a bodyguard.
Come on, we better get out of here before we get served.
And everybody starts getting mad at Dustin. I don't know how this dog thing keeps coming back to the plot or why we have to keep revisiting it, but apparently off screen it gets taken to the pound because one of the RAs saw it, I guess. RA, residential assistant, dorm advisor, I forget what they call them.
DA's coming.
Zoey wants to fight Dustin's bully without necessarily getting involved, so she calls in the janitor from earlier, Herb, who is a struggling actor, to actually play the Dean of Discipline, and says that he's the guy in charge of punishing people.
Who are you?
I happen to be the Dean of Discipline.
Dean of...
Stop speaking!
Okay.
And threaten him, essentially, so he stops bullying Dustin. Which is kind of fair, because obviously you can't be bullying people, but you definitely need to be reporting it to someone. Like, you shouldn't try to figure this out on your own, let alone hire an adult man to threaten him. But then again, I think this adult man should have known, like, hey, I gotta help them with this bullying situation, not just act as the dean of discipline.
I'll expel you faster than pigtails on a giraffe. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
But whatever, that's just gonna happen, I guess. It's not the first time we get, like, a weird experience at Zoey 101. Dang, I wish I could hire Herb. He seems like a good actor. The bully is, like, definitely threatened. So when he goes to apologize to Dustin, Dustin actually turns the tables and already tries to stand up to him. Like, he stands up for himself, and it's really nice to see, especially since he's so small.
Look, man.
And I'm not doing your stupid laundry, because it smells bad, like you. From now on, just leave me alone. Got it?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to do your homework for you anymore. So he already had the character growth and didn't necessarily need Zoey. But she didn't learn that lesson. And later we have Dana come back with Elvis. And turns out she saved him from the pound. Which is like, we couldn't see any of that. Like, none of that sounded interesting enough to put in the episode. And it feels like that's something they would have Jade do. Like, where you get a moment of like, oh, the mean character did something nice. She must have cared. And it's like, okay, we get it. They're the same. I just don't get why the action is off screen. We meet Coco, the dorm advisor, which is a super funny character later down the line. But right now, she's not too much of a personality. She's just kind of rigid and has very minimal lines. And it ends with like a really funny moment of the janitor monologuing. Which is like, you guys can't not call yourself a comedy if you're gonna keep doing these hilarious stuff.
Conscience does make cowards of us all.
Zoey 101 is just so off-putting when it comes to the tone of the show, and I just do not know what to make of it, especially on episode 3. I find myself having more questions than answers, and while the characters are really entertaining, the backstory of PCA is really alluring, I just cannot help comparing it to Victorious. Like, I swear, Chase looks like Robbie without a dummy. Then we get to episode 4. Oh my gosh, it's a show about theater, which is interesting. I feel like there's a lot of extracurriculars going on at PCA. So it's called The Play, and there's the drama teacher is the guy from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. They're doing a show, and Mark DeFigolo wants to be Annie, which is like, this character is just being thrown around at this point.
I wanted to be Annie.
That Chase wrote the show. They better pay him for that, though. Like, he wrote the entire show that the class is doing. They say that everybody's going to have auditions later that day, but it's like, if you're an actor, how do you prepare for a play written by your fellow peer? Like, I don't know what they're about to prepare. Why all these people are so active in theater? Like, this is just such a specific group of people. And if, like, you like sports, I don't know if you also like being in the play. They have a funny reference where Zoey asks who played all the female roles before the girls came in, and it turns out to be Chase, which is a super funny moment.
I'd rather not talk about it.
Of course Chase is a theater kid, though. Like, this makes so much sense. Not only did he write it, but he was playing all the female characters. Like, if anything, I'm, like, wondering why this never comes up again. Like, why does Chase's whole personality have to be about Zoey? And the show is apparently about a lifeguard and a space alien, which I can't believe you wrote about that, Chase. Like, it's so weird and cringy, and it's like, I don't know what's going on in that guy's emotional baggage that he needs to express himself through a lifeguard, and Logan says it's uncool and makes fun of them for doing theater in the first place, which is like fair, even though I was a theater kid. Meanwhile, Dustin's sick and tries to find Zoey, but Quinn finds him, and I assume she's going to help him, but then she ends up experimenting on him. Are there any rules here? Like, can you just go to a girl's dorm if you're a boy? I don't know. I don't understand the rules of PCA. And the fact that Quinn can experiment on him, like, some of this stuff looks borderline illegal, but, like, I guess it's just creative here, making it a lot more like Hollywood Arts. So then they do auditions, and for some reason, it's in front of the other peers. Like, I don't know why you would not have private auditions. And everybody is, like, horribly bad. Like, not even just kind of bad, like, horribly. Because that's the only way to make Zoey look so good.
You don't know what planet this is?
No, I lost control of my starship, and it plunged into the ocean.
Like, she literally does the most basic line reading, and that's all we get. And suddenly she gets the part. Chase is excited because he's gonna kiss her in the final scene, and even the teacher knows, and I don't know why he's being sus about it.
We're not doing Annie.
But things take a turn when Logan comes out of his way to audition, and he's like, okay, I want to be a part of it. You're right. It's not uncool. So he does a super good job, which is so random. And the teacher is like, wow, you definitely have to cast him for your show, especially if he's this good.
So the drama club rocks. I rock. It should be a good match, right?
And Chase is like, okay, I guess they're gonna have to kiss then. But obviously he's like more than upset. I don't know why Logan's like scenes are like a little bit slowed down. Like maybe the actor wasn't comfortable with pacing, but like you could tell that the editing is slowed him down to deliver the line shorter. Zoey's about to like quit the play because she's upset that it's Logan, which is fair. Like, why would you do that? But then when she sees like a glimpse of his performance, she's like, on stage he's a different person. It's like, yeah, Zoey, that's acting. But she doesn't know how that works because she just reads the lines in the most basic way. Not only in the play, but in this entire show. So Chase tries to like excuse it by writing a different ending that says kill instead of kiss, which is scary, but the teacher doesn't buy it.
I'm always mixing up my S's and L's. Like, one time, I tried to write sassafras. I wrote lalafrau.
And that's fair, because it's like, obviously you wouldn't make that big of a grammar mistake. Chase attempts to get Logan sick by using Dustin's sickness, which is interesting. At least the B-plot makes a little sense here. Not just Quinn experimenting on this kid for no reason. But instead of Logan getting sick, Chase gets sick. And he's so upset about being sick, he jumps out the window when he's with the nurse, and the nurse, like, follows him. I don't understand this. And why does the bed have its own comforters? Like...
Zoey! Don't do it!
We see the play, and for some reason, it's all on one scene. Like, it's literally just the alien and the lifeguard talking. We don't see any other evolution of this show. I would love to see whatever Chase wrote for this alien and lifeguard thing, but I guess the kiss is the only thing that matters.
As I was saying, you're amazing. You're perfect.
So are you.
When they do it on stage, Logan acts like a diva already. Zoey remembers who he really is and is no longer interested in kissing him, so she ends up not doing it. Oh my god, Zoey, you can't just not do the script.
Why do you even want to kiss me?
'Cause I think you're really special.
Oh, well, I guess you think that Hula Girl's really special too, because I know you tried to kiss her.
So she, like, basically changes the entire script right then and there. Chase doesn't care for some reason. I don't know why he doesn't care about his show being good. And we're left super unresolved. Like, there's not a lot to do about this. Another representation of what the heck is this show about? Like, we're doing theater now? We did basketball?
Go, Zoey! You shoot him! Oh, yeah! Oh!
And why are the characters so much like the characters in Victorious? It's uncanny. The show almost does not hold up to this day because of all the extra shows that came after it and the reuse of plot lines and characters, and it's just, I don't know how to defend this.
You're fired!
I feel like Donald Trump.
Next is episode 5, and this is where it gets really weird. It's called Webcam. So we start with the girls playing Truth or Dare, like some variation of it, like Mess or Stress or something. And we see Chase and Logan delivering sushi. When did either of them start working there? Apparently Logan is training Chase, but I don't remember Logan ever working somewhere. And how does Chase have the time to do a play, like write a full show, and work at the sushi place? This becomes a staple for later in the series. One of the kids Chase delivers to has a goat. And don't they do that on iCarly? Don't they reference a goat a lot? So Logan tries to apologize to the girls, saying he wants to accept them and everything, and he gifts them with like this really big teddy bear, and everybody's like, oh, Logan, that's actually really nice, although it is out of character. We find out that Nicole makes a chart of guys' lips and acts like that's a secret, but she's so obsessed with guys, I don't know why that's a secret. And Zoey is dared to prank call a teacher saying he ordered 9,000 bottles of mustard, which, oh my gosh, guys.
Yes, sir. You ordered 9,000 jars of mustard.
What? Who could eat that much mustard?
And meanwhile, Quinn likes to eat baby food, which definitely should be a secret, and she keeps eating it constantly throughout the episode, which, if it never comes back again, what's the point?
Put down the baby food and focus.
So then a bunch of boys walk by Nicole and kind of make fun of her, saying like, oh, aren't our lips cute? And how do they know that she had that list? Immediately they think that Dana told, because obviously she is the sour character.
You're it.
10 minutes early.
No, Baxas.
This is our first appearance of Sushi Rocks, which is cool because it definitely is a staple of the Zoey 101 series. Logan apparently keeps calling in sick, so Chase has to deliver everything. Which I think that would be a lot of money, Chase. I think Logan's doing you a favor here. So Zoey calls in a meeting, and we learn that there is a webcam in the teddy bears. So another peeping episode. They did this in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which is kind of crazy. Quinn is able to find that there is a webcam. That's like borderline like illegal.
That bear is broadcasting both audio and visual transmissions via broadband wavelengths to a remote digital receiver. I knew it!
And the fact that this is on a TeenNick show is crazier. So Zoey confronts Chase, who doesn't actually know what's going on with this webcam. You know, he's been delivering sushi quite some time now. She assumes it's Logan, and they actually go into his computer, which I don't know how he has zero security.
He's been dumping all his deliveries on me so he can sit here and spy on you guys.
What a freak.
Oh, hey, there's Quinn. Did she just eat a leaf?
Quinn eats a leaf on a fake plant. This character is so weird. They end up finding out that it's true, there's a webcam pointed at the girls, and for some reason, it's able to do like a triple camera setup and zooms in on everything perfectly. I don't know how that works. So Zoey's like, okay, I have a plan, and we don't get to hear it as the audience.
See? Nicole, right, I'll get another one.
Which is a common trope that's used multiple times over this series. We're kind of thrown into it. Michael and Logan are looking through the webcam and they notice that Chase is giving away sushi for free. But the sushi's boss can't read the cue cards, which is kind of funny. Like, the staging of it is so cheesy. And when his boss catches Chase, he basically threatens to send him to jail. So Logan and Michael are like, whoa, this is terrible.
That's why we have to get rid of him. Get rid of him?
This is insane.
He didn't see you hit him.
Right. We'll blame it all on Logan. Yes, Logan.
Me?
Until Chase blames it on Logan, who grabs the dean from the shower and has to explain that he was not responsible for this. And I don't know how Logan gets into the dean's shower. This is like ridiculous. Logan then admits to everyone that he had a webcam and that's how he caught them. And he admits that he was fake sick and gets fired. And there's a Donald Trump reference, which is really weird.
You're fired!
I feel like Donald Trump.
I can't believe we didn't see that at the time. Yeah, overall this episode is definitely creepy. It takes the peeping storyline a little further than the Sweet Life did, which I actually kind of like. I definitely think this would be a recurring issue if there was a boys and girls dormitory. So I like that they're touching upon a topic that might be a little bit more dense than Nickelodeon is used to. Something that we would never see today. And this is a really unique storyline. I like this. So next we have episode 6, which is Jetex. The name of that scooter that they have in this show. I guess this is when it's introduced. So the girls hurry to get ready, and we see Blick soda for the first time, which it kind of looks like Listerine or laundry detergent. I don't know if it's appetizing at all. When they're gonna be late for class, they ask Chase to stall the teacher.
Beat me up. One more time? If we're fighting, he'll have to stop and break it up.
And it does work. Obviously, the teacher gets involved and tries to stop him. And Chase says it's because Michael said he had bushy hair, and the teacher actually makes a point to point that out, to agree with that, which I don't think was necessary.
Now, Chase, your hair is unusually bushy. And Michael, the bushiness of his hair is none of your business. Now just...
I hope this stuff becomes relevant later. So they get to class and they're talking about advertising. This school is really diverse in its academics. Like, we have theater, sports, like everything's going on here. He has a guest star come in, which is this really famous guy, I guess. And he talks about the Jetex, and he's really rude.
Dude, you know what this is?
Some sort of scooter?
Wrong.
Sorry.
This, my adolescent friends, is the Jetex.
So it's apparently this new motorcycle, and everybody in class is going to team up in groups of 3 to create a commercial for it. And the winner will get their own Jetex and their commercial played on television, which is even better than a school assignment. So then we got the boys in a group and the girls in a group, and they make it competitive somehow for no reason. Probably because of Logan and using all of his dad's assets to get a microphone, professional film crew, and of course he has all those things, of course.
Movie producer?
And he's also my dad. Hey, that generator is not gonna move itself.
Is this the first time we're actually exposed to Logan's richness, because it feels like that. The girls are annoyed and complain because it's like not really fair that they have more resources than the girls. Nicole keeps trying to get her dad involved, saying that he is boss of a juice place and if they need juice, which doesn't help at all.
Well, you know what? I'll just ask my dad to donate stuff for our commercial.
Your dad's a producer too?
No, he owns a juice company.
And they complain to the teacher, who says they don't really need that stuff to make a good commercial, which is true. So the girls actually try to make their own with Nicole and Zoey, but they all get into arguments saying this is not good, it's not working, and Quinn accidentally records all the girls talking about what it means to them, and this is actually going to come up later. They eventually break up, all go into their own commercials, and even the bike floats away, which does not make sense.
Mine? Oh, amazing. Like, insanely good. So good, it's not sane.
Well, mine rocks.
After it not working out for any of them, they actually reconnect and admit to each other that they can't do it without one another, which is really sweet. They decide to have an all-nighter and edit the footage they shot. They end up using the footage of them fighting because Zoey's able to edit really well. Oh my gosh, can you imagine when we had TikTok, if Zoey used TikTok to do this? I feel like everybody knows how to edit nowadays. Back then, it was like, oh, okay, you have to kind of pick it up, learn it. But now it's like, wow, you could just do it. Logan's commercial ends up being very 2000s. Like, the aesthetic is cheesy. It's, like, flashy with a model in it. Doesn't make sense to me. Everybody in class loves it.
Hot ride. You need a Jetex.
Is it me, or is Logan actually way too into his own commercial? Like, look at him. Look at that smug look on his face. This is so weird. And before it's too late, Zoey brings in their video.
It's about being in control. Jetex! Is it a motorcycle? Is it a scooter?
No, it's a Jetex.
And of course, her video is more genuine. They talk about the fact that the Jetex is more than just a bike, and it's exactly what the teacher said. They did a better job than the boys despite their advantages, which is a pretty big metaphor for this entire show. That's essentially the whole plot.
Well, butter my rump and call me toast.
Huh?
What?
Butter my rump and call me toast, which I cannot wrap my head around. Jetex is a pretty good episode, putting the genders against each other once again as Zoey 101 does best. But they build on their own lore as if this is a fantasy series, like the Jetex adding the Blicks. I know it's just to avoid copyright infringement, but I feel like they get a little too ahead of themselves. There's parts of it that are really interesting, and some of the jokes in this are really funny, but we do miss a lot of Chase and Zoey and a little bit more of the personal aspects of this show. Their fight about the commercial lasts like less than a scene, and I don't know if that makes it that big of a deal to them. The fact that Zoey was able to edit such an intense commercial in that amount of time is beyond me, even with TikTok. And I don't know what's up with this actor. He is eccentric, and his lines are just so funny to me.
You, the kid with the hippie shirt. You want a Jetex?
Yeah.
Too bad. They're not available in stores till next year.
The next episode we have is 7, Spring Fling. So the group is watching a documentary on grass, which is definitely really boring. I guess they're trying to portray that. Zoey is like, I want to do a spring fling, but apparently nobody else wants to because it's never gone well.
Cause every year they get some band and no one wants to hear. And we all sit outside, eat lukewarm weenies, and wish we were somewhere else.
Until she mentions that maybe she can get Drake Bell, which is crazy because obviously he was really famous at the time, and I would want him now.
And we just die to get Drake Bell.
Tell him I think he's cute.
Shh.
Apparently, he has a school discount rate when she calls his manager, which I didn't realize celebrities did at the time, or now. It ends up being like $5,000, so Zoey thinks they can make it happen if they actually do a fundraiser. Meanwhile, Dustin is getting paid to not sleep for Quinn as a part of an experiment. I don't know if he's so smart, why is he being treated like a child? The fact that his plot lines are about his bracelets shocking him and him not being able to sleep, like, he's a smart kid. Why is he going down this route?
It shocks me. It shocks you? Only if I start to fall asleep. See, watch. Yeah!
I love how when Dustin was dealing with a bully, Zoey felt the need to get involved, but now that he is literally getting a bracelet that shocks his body every time he's about to fall asleep, she just doesn't feel the need to step in. I'm not sure if it's because she learned her lesson from last time or she just doesn't care anymore. Either way, it's like, come on, Zoey, make a point. They go directly to Dean Rivers, asking about the fundraiser, and he's not into it at first, which is kind of weird. He's supposed to care about education, and I feel like this is kind of a good idea. Like, why would you disagree?
Great band for our spring fling.
Would there be any clowns at this fundraiser?
We hadn't planned on clowns.
He just says not to joke about clowns, which is unnecessary, but does come up later. The girls meet an alumni who is a chairman of the board, and he says it's his job to bug Dean Rivers.
Stop by once a month and harass the dean. Oh, never mind. He hates clowns.
And dresses as a clown. So they end up doing the car wash, but they only make like $1,000. So the chairman comes back, talks to them about it, and since he's an alumni and actually kind of cares about what they're trying to do...
For a really good car wash, I'd be willing to pay, I don't know, around $4,000.
He says he'll give them $4,000 to wash his car. Woof, that's a good idea. He then gives her the keys and leaves. Like, I don't know how he's gonna get home or if is he walking. Like, the Uber was not a thing back then. And if you need your car washed, it's gonna take 20 minutes like tops. I don't know why this is necessary.
There, done. Perfect. Gorgeous. Wait, I left a rag inside on the floor. Got it.
So he says he's gonna come back the next day. Weird. And immediately they accidentally crash it without driving it, which is kind of impressive. I mean, I would be terrified. This is like an expensive mistake. Like, the girls are freaking out. Of course you would be. Like, how would you not freak out at a situation like that? Like, it's such an expensive car, and he already said how much he loved it. So I'm already scared for them. They end up getting a car mechanic and say that it's going to cost essentially all the money they made, like $3,000 or $4,000. So they're like, okay, well, we don't really have a choice. We have to do it. Despite the fact they kind of told Drake Bell they would pay him already. It's done barely on time, and they still kind of lost because they lost the money. They begged Drake Bell's manager to take $1,500.
And my watch. And this necklace. And this hat.
It's my hat.
Beat it.
But it doesn't work. They're not budging. Until Drake actually comes out and is impressed with the t-shirts that are designed for the Spring Fling. It has his name and it's better than the original.
Okay, tell you what. You let us have your t-shirt design and I'll play the concert for free.
Sorry.
Which, can he personally make a deal like that? I feel like that's why you're supposed to have a manager. He sings, and it's a really good song, and ends up being the best Spring Fling ever, which is great. We have a nice happy ending for Zoey. The car gets fixed, everything goes pretty well. And then Dustin is so tired of this sleep deprivation experiment that he throws his watch into someone's drink, which couldn't that kill them? Overall, this is a really fun episode. I can't believe Drake Bell is the celebrity guest star, especially since he was not special at that time on this channel. Like, he was clearly Drake and Josh. But you definitely feel anxiety for the characters and want Zoey to actually fulfill this Spring Fling, seeing how everybody doesn't like it so much. And we get to kind of like focus in on the girls' issues and learn a lot more about PCA, especially with the extended interaction with Dean Rivers, more than it's been before. So next is episode 8, Prank Day. Zoey wakes up with Nicole in her bed. She's like, what the heck is going on? And Quinn is like, let's go outside. And turns out their entire dorm is TP'd.
Yeah! Yeah! Hunt them down and surgically remove their kidneys. I mean, whoever did it's gonna pay.
The girls are furious at the guys, but they explain that it's prank week. Logan says they're stupid for not knowing, but like, how could they have known? Like, you know they didn't go to school here yet. It reminds me of like kind of freshman stuff, like initiation. When you're new to a new school and people try to bully you, I do think it's wrong. I don't know why they stand by it so well.
Hey, we had to do it our first year. Yeah, and the pranks were pretty harsh.
Morning, Logan.
They say they're supposed to take it and not dish it back, pretty much. And there's like a montage of them getting pranks pulled on them, and it just sucks, because it's like, why would you just accept that?
It's a PCA tradition. Yeah, and it used to be a tradition that girls weren't even allowed here, but we changed that. Yeah, I guess.
The dean makes a statue. It says like no trash or teenage items, which is like, what?
No trash or teenage items.
Zoey tries to shut down the pranks, though the girls don't actually want to, which feels kind of out of character. And they get tricked into being water ballooned, and Zoey actually gets it the worst, which makes her change her mind. She's like, okay, I do want to get back at them for this.
This means war.
Quinn makes a high frequency sound that causes people to lose consciousness, which is insane. That cannot be legal, Quinn. I don't know where she gets the material she does to make this stuff. They get dressed up, and this is another time Zoey has a plan, cuts before it even happens. We can't even see it. I guess this whole show must be a prank. It's starting to feel that way as I'm watching it. So they're basically having a plan in action. Coco runs into them, and they have to lie to her.
Camouflage is the new black.
Yeah. I see. All right. I'm gonna go watch Leno.
Next thing you know, we don't see what happens until the next morning. That statue that Dean Rivers made, it's graffitied with fake hair and essentially like looking like a girl. So that's what Zoey planned. But they don't expect the backlash. Dean Rivers comes in super angry, and even his boss is there. Apparently the guy who owns the school.
You care to tell me why the statue of my father is wearing that?
The girls admit they did it pretty quickly, which surprises me. I thought it was going to be about, like, hiding this secret. And the man says that he's going to turn the whole dorm back to boys only, which, aw, that stinks. He says, I don't like hijinks, which is one of the best jokes.
Can't do that.
Oh, yes, I can. My father founded this school. I can put ducks in the toilets if I want to.
So they're upset, no girls want to leave, so Zoey goes back and she takes credit for the prank entirely on her own. She's expelled, and the rest can stay if Zoey apologizes to the whole school. Then she has to leave. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't apologize at that point if that were to happen. Zoey gets a call from the lounge, and the girls all thank Zoey for taking the hit for them. The boys show up because they also feel kind of bad, and Michael tells Chase,
Zoey's leaving tomorrow, and if you don't tell her how you feel now, that's it. Last chance.
because this is the last time he could see her, which is a staple of the show as well. I'm watching this show at my work, and every time Quinn turns on this device, it makes such a scary, screeching noise that I actually have to turn the episode off. Isn't that insane?
Quinn.
So Zoey ends up apologizing to everybody as told, but then they see the statue start to pee. Suddenly we see that the boys pranked the statue too, therefore they would have to expel everyone. Pretty good idea.
Just stop my daddy from peeing, and no one gets expelled.
Turns out it was Logan's idea. And Quinn uses her device one last time, causing everybody to pass out. And that was actually cut from a lot of places, that scene, but it's still available on the season 1 DVD. So it's weird that it's called Prank Week when it doesn't really have a lot to do with pranks. Like, sure, pranks are the reason everything kind of started, but I feel like it's so much more about Zoey getting kicked out. Like I wish it was titled like Zoey leaves PCA or something. But I like the girls versus boys because clearly the principal didn't want girls there to begin with, and it's clear that he treats them so differently. Like having the boys do the exact same thing and level of disrespect actually kind of puts him in a position where he doesn't have a choice. Like, if that was going to be the punishment for them, it has to be the punishment for the boys too. Then we got number 9, Quinn's date. This is one of my favorites of the season. So everybody's eating when Quinn uses an experiment to make Chase pass out. Oh my god, she's back at it again.
How cool is that?
Quinn tells the girls that she likes Mark, but she's scared of boys, until they convince her to talk to him. She goes over, it takes like a second, and then she comes back, and it's like, what's happening?
Then I asked him if I could have one of his nose hairs. Why?
Meanwhile, Dustin finds a frog and is terrified. Apparently, he is afraid of animals. Oh my god, poor Dustin. He says he's not actually afraid of animals, but Chase and Michael try to prove him wrong by being like, okay, then you could feed our dog Elvis. Yeah, turns out they keep the dog. At least the dog's relevant again. So meanwhile, Quinn is studying a boy and girl as they're just casually talking, which is also illegal.
Are you two planning to kiss anytime soon? If so, may I videotape it?
And she's just taping people around for observation. She's like tackling it from a scientific way, which is perfect for her character. She says his name's like a poem, and I disagree.
Sure. A very short poem that doesn't rhyme with anything.
Zoey and Nicole help Quinn practice, like, interacting with guys, because that'll be so much better than observing them. So they have Chase step in, but she's super aggressive and only speaks in facts, just, like, scaring off Chase.
Tell me about your first rash.
Zoey.
When?
I'm curious.
Which is no surprise, of course you would be scared of that. Quinn asks Zoey to ask him out for her. So Zoey actually ends up doing this, and he says no like 3 times.
Well, why don't you think about it for a little bit?
Okay. No.
Zoey does not take no, like, at all. This is not cool. So Zoey lies to Quinn, telling her that he said yes. She admits to the girls that she didn't want Quinn to be upset. So Zoey's like, okay, we just have to give her a plan, something better to do on Saturday night for her to back out of the date.
It's a show where the world's best figure skaters dress up like famous scientists and skate around.
But she does not. There is nothing that gets her to cancel this date. Meanwhile, Dustin is still scared of the dog and has to take care of him while wearing a full bodysuit and charging into the room, which is kind of funny. Zoey asks Chase to go on a date and he's super excited, but then learns it's not a real date. She just thinks that if her and Quinn run into Chase and Mark, they could pass off the whole thing as like a double date and it wouldn't seem like a date.
You and I are gonna go on a double date with her and Mark.
So, it is a real date.
No, listen.
Listening.
Which is crazy. Zoey, he said no like 3 times. And poor Chase, he clearly has a crush on her, and hearing this phone call, like, I would be so excited. But then he's like, oh, it's just a double date and it's fake. This guy has it rough. This also makes me think, like, there's no way Zoey would have a crush on him. She's clearly setting a boundary. She's told him multiple times she's just friends. Like, I think he needs to get over it. Zoey even says he might not talk to you during the date.
Boys sometimes get weirded out by the word date, you know. No, not really.
So Chase tries to hang out with Mark, but they really don't know each other, and it's so awkward.
Yeah, what? 2 guys can't have a picnic together? Come on.
And Chase even brings a picnic basket. When he sets it up, it's a really awkward picnic, but Zoey and Quinn shoehorn their way into there, and she says, like, you poor so cute, which is kind of a stretch.
Do you want to go catch a movie on campus?
Movie, yay!
But we haven't eaten yet. Right. Here. You can eat it on the way.
I don't know how she can't see this is not a date. They kind of rush the whole thing, so Mark and Quinn don't realize it's fake, and then they go to see a movie, which is perfect. This is actually a pretty good plan, Zoey. I feel like she's actually getting away with it this time. Until they're in line for the movie, and a girl comes up accusing Mark of cheating. Turns out he was in a relationship the whole time. Well, Mark, why didn't you say anything? You said no to Zoey 3 times. I mean, I guess you didn't have to have a reason to say no, but still, like, this is so out of the blue. It's kind of funny, though.
Oh, burr!
So the girlfriend breaks up with Mark right then and there, which is super appropriate. And Quinn and Mark actually do end up together in the post-credits scene, which is so crazy. Like, why would you start a relationship off of that basis? Not only was it a lie, but it was like, Mark said no multiple times. I don't understand what's going on with these guys. Overall, I just think it's such a funny episode, and Quinn is such a unique character that everything that happens is very wacky in its own right, making it more confusing on why it's a drama.
Oh, I'm not scared of a little dog. Come on.
Next we have episode 10, Backpack. So Nicole squirts goo onto a backpack. That's $50. Jesus, why are people paying for backpacks back then?
Whoa, look at the time. We're late.
It's like at the school store, and the man is like, you have to pay for this. But she doesn't have enough, so she literally gets it from Zoey and doesn't even thank her. Not cool.
I have 20.
Not anymore.
In the meantime, Quinn is actually planting a banana and apple tree. A banapple tree. And I thought this was always a cool concept growing up. I'm like, oh, what if you could do that?
Don't worry, my mutant little fruits. I'll protect you.
So before they throw the backpack away, Zoey picks it out of the garbage, and she's like, well, maybe there's something like we can do with this. Zoey brings it to her and bedazzles it. I don't know what she does. She puts some artsy stuff on it. And suddenly the backpack is like really cool, and Nicole actually wants it. I don't know how she doesn't recognize it though. It looks exactly like the backpack.
And I will have successfully crossbred the banana and the apple to create the best fruit in the universe! Cool backpack.
Suddenly people start wanting a backpack exactly like that and want Zoey to turn it into a business. Mindy from Drake and Josh is here! So Mindy plays a girl named Stacy, and she works for the school newspaper, and she just takes pics of the backpack for the paper.
This is so cool. Really great job.
The next day, she's actually selling backpacks exactly like it. Wait, I don't know how she even like managed to make that happen overnight. If anything, it's kind of impressive. I feel like she gets the credit for this.
I'm sorry, we're closed. Come back another day.
You're not closed.
Yeah, you're just a table. You can't close a table.
Quinn's apple tree starts working, and it's crazy because it's like, there's no way. And animals start to eat them, so she makes a scarecrow that looks like her so she can zap them. And it's so violent. Quinn is evil.
I should stop asking you so many questions.
Next thing you know, Stacy is becoming like a lot more successful with this, even striking a deal to sell it at the bookstore. And the newspaper says that there's a meeting going on at 8, which how would a newspaper have that information?
Yeah, it says Stacy's having some big meeting there this Friday.
Interesting. Ooh, you're thinking things?
Yeah, she's definitely thinking things.
Michael goes in disguise, and I don't know what the plan is here, but I guess Zoey 101 just likes to throw us into their plans and tell us about it later. Nicole comes running out, and Zoey has her own backpack company. And now, apparently, the backpacks can massage your back, too. So it kind of upstages Stacy's deal, and suddenly the guy wants Zoey's backpacks instead. Which is kind of weird. It's like, Stacy stole the idea, but Zoey also didn't want to do anything with it anyway. Like, it would have never came to fruition. I think it's a little shady that Stacy managed to have the exact same idea the next day. Like, that is definitely plagiarism.
Backpack attack?
Hey, that's really clever.
Well, it rhymes.
But Zoey, like, either you should have started it yourself, or, I don't know. But it's nice to see the guys and the girls on the same side about this situation. It doesn't happen a lot. It's been a lot about genders bumping up against each other, so this is kind of cool. She uses the money that she makes from the bookstore to get the lounge a jukebox, which is really cool. And the banana tree, that plot line kind of goes haywire, because apparently the fruits they make is dangerous and actually melts things. So I don't know how she knew it tasted good in the first place. This kind of bothers me because we literally just had an episode about a spring fling, and now it's a school dance. Not only is it because these two words are pretty similar, but we already had an episode prepping about an event. Whatever though, I guess it's just not, that's just my thing. So Zoey and Chase are messaging in class, kind of like IMing used to be in the 2000s, where it's like texting and somehow getting away with it. I don't know if I would have gotten away with it at their age though. And they're in multimedia class, which I don't know how there's so many things going on.
I don't think you want me to do that.
Read the message.
You think Mr. Bender knows his zipper's down?
This really perky duo of teens, which kind of look older than them. I'm not sure if they're in their grade or if there are grade. I don't know. But then they tell them that they're going to have a dance.
And I'm sure some of you have thought about who you would like to ask.
Now, asking someone to a dance can be a little awkward.
So this year, you don't have to.
Nobody's excited, same way they weren't excited for the spring fling, which is not creative or new. But there is a twist. They're going to do a personality test to match everybody with their date.
So just go online to pcatest.com, fill out your personality test.
And poof!
You've got a date to the dance.
Yeah!
Everybody has an opinion, like Nicole's excited, Dana's not excited. The most important thing we follow is that Chase wants to ask Zoey. Logan points out that if he actually figures out all the answers she would give, maybe they would get matched up. And Chase actually thinks this is brilliant.
Some guys are brilliant, some guys are great looking. I just happen to be both. Later, man. Later.
I like that this episode's focused on technology and the problems it causes. That's my bread and butter. Nicole only answers saying boys, and it's just so ridiculous. Like, this is not a personality trait. Who gave her this role?
Number one pet peeve. Not meeting cute guys.
So Chase does a bunch of things to find out the answers from Zoey, like he gives her gummy worms, plays country music, and is like, do you like this? And he is trying to get the answers from her naturally.
Chase?
Oh, what, you don't like country music? Well, what kind of music would you like to hear?
Then they get the results, and Michael's actually paired with a guy. And it's the butt of the joke, which is, I don't know, that's kind of homophobic for the time. Oh my gosh, and this guy's in it again. He's from Ned's Declassified and Hannah Montana. Who is he?
I am Oli, the foreign exchange student.
And of course he's making a joke out of being a foreigner. I don't know why we used to do this in the 2000s, but there was just so many times we thought that ambiguous accents or things that are out of our cultural norms were associated with, like, the ridiculous character, the character we laugh at. I don't really like it.
This is the problem. Oh, Mikael, your fingernails are so filthy.
So then when they all get the results, it's actually really funny because Logan and Dana get paired up, Nicole pairs up with this guy that's exactly like her, and Chase does get Zoey. But then they find out that Zoey's assigned to somebody else, somebody named like Glenn Davis. I don't even know who that is. This episode feels like the one true time we are on the guy's side. Like, it's told from the perspective of the males. Like, I feel like we've had a lot from Zoey's perspective and what's going on with the girls, but this is really interesting to see how they portray it. And I don't feel like a lot of episodes in the first season do this.
Well, let's just settle this right now. Come on, Zoey.
They try to complain about it to the people, but Glenn just tells Zoey to choose. The guys fight, and she says, I want to think about it, which is not cool, Zoey. They need to know. This is also why I don't think she likes Chase, because it's like, you have a clear opportunity to actually get to know him better and are not taking... Like clearly she doesn't seem to care. Zoey ends up choosing Glenn, and of course that gets Chase sad, and Zoey says, don't be sad.
Don't be sad.
Did you know that when I was little, I thought that babies came from outer space?
What? Zoey, you can't just say that to somebody, don't be sad. That definitely makes me think you don't like him. Like, of course he's not gonna tell you he likes you when they're giving so many signals to say no. Next thing you know, it's the dance. Zoey and Glenn are together, and Chase is miserable about it, and I don't know why he doesn't get reassigned. Nicole actually gets frustrated with her date, he's too much like her, and Michael ends up having a good time. Only to find out later that he was paired up with somebody that he is attracted to, so good for him, I guess. Chase overhears that Glenn took her answers just like he did, so he confronts him, which is very hypocritical.
Come on, dude, she's hot. So? That's low, man. That's really low.
Oh, don't go acting all righteous with me, Matthews.
But then he says he knows that Chase did it too, which I don't know how in the world he would have known that. And Chase argues like stealing is worse than tricking. Not super helpful or a good defense at all, Chase. Zoey overhears them and then kind of gives them a speech on why what they did was wrong, which is fair, it was wrong. I just don't get why Zoey, of all people, is the object of affection. She's the least personality-driven person in the show so far. By the end, we get the closest moment to Zoey and Chase actually being together, and I remember watching this when I was a youngster. They're like sitting by the lake, and Zoey asks why he did that, and kind of says that it was sweet, which I don't think it was, and you just said it was crazy behavior a second ago, so I don't really know what she's trying to say.
Why would you go through all that trouble just to go with me to a stupid dance?
Because I wanted to protect you.
Protect me?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're my friend, and you're a girl.
And this is like the moment that he has to say he likes her, but he just can't do it. But we have a feeling that she knows at this point. I just don't get how protecting someone is an excuse for acting like this at all. Like, he should be protecting him from himself. If you like real teenage angst, check out Heartbreak Hospital. It's my musical. Next, we have episode 12, Disco Golf. So the coach is aggressive. This guy's, like, insane.
All sweaty and out of breath. Hey, you know why you don't see me all sweaty and out of breath?
Because you've been sitting in a chair reading a comic book?
All right, Matthews.
It definitely reminds me of a lot of gym coaches in the 2000s. Like, they just kind of were, like, drill sergeants. All the cast are running in gym, and they hate it, and I always hated that growing up. I remember being in high school, having to run the mile, and oh gosh, there was nothing worse than that. Everybody is sore, and they don't want to go to gym again. Relatable. And they learn that apparently you don't have to do gym if you do an after-school sport. Oh, if I knew that growing up, I would have definitely done it. Okay, so Zoey and Dana were on this basketball team. We just never heard about it or saw another episode about it. I would have loved to see that. They decide to get something that's super easy. Nicole's like, no, I'm stink at all sports. There's no way. And just doubting the whole thing. Which kind of me, until they decide to do disc golf, which apparently is one of the easier sports. They start a team, and the coach actually gets really angry. I don't know why he feels so passionately about this group starting a team. He basically shows them that the only way they could be recognized as a team is if they play another school and win.
To make disc golf a certified sport.
Giving them like 10 days on the timer, which is kind of an interesting plot point. It's just really unrealistic, and I don't know why the coach would be so anti this group of kids getting together. Like, I get that he wants them to come to his gym class, but like, you can't really care about their physical health if you're not happy for them in their extracurricular activity. I don't know, it's just weird.
One sanctioned game against another team from an accredited school.
I don't understand.
Neither did I.
In the side plot, Michael can't stop eating potato chips, so Quinn uses one of her experiments to help him, and it ends up giving him really weird side effects.
Yeah, she sprayed my chips with this red stuff, and all of a sudden I've been able to go well quickly. Michael, you may be walking fine now, but I think those chips are causing a new side effect.
Michael can't even talk at one point, and that's essentially the plot of the whole thing. It's like, it used to be Dustin, and then it became Dustin and Quinn, and now it's Quinn and Michael. I don't understand these pair-ups. All I know is the B-plots just have not been coinciding with the A-plots, except for that one episode. So they actually set up a game with, like, a nearby school. They show up and it turns out to be criminals. Yeah, like, they have parole officers, they're in... This feels like a Drake and Josh twist, but it does work for this show too. They turn out to be really good at this, so it turns out the team is really terrified.
Nice going, Chase.
Luckily, Nicole manages to get a little bit better, but they have to make one person sit out. And of course, it ends up being Nicole.
Ridgeway team, listen up. If you intentionally hurt, injure, punch, or kill anyone on the PCA team, you will be punished.
Why doesn't that make me feel any better?
The officer says if you kill anyone on the PCA team, and that makes me terrified to hear too. So they have a full game, and then the final swing comes down to Zoey. But instead, she pretends that her arm hurts and allows Nicole to step in because she knows how hard it worked for her, which is really sweet. But also, Zoey, there's a time and a place to resolve your issues, and you're kind of bringing everybody down if you do this.
Nicole, come here.
Zoey? What? Okay, obviously the injury's to your head.
The convicts end up running away, which I guessed, for the record, I guess this would happen, and PCA takes home the gold. Wait, the other team was named Ridgeway? Isn't that like the iCarly school? In the end, the convicts actually take the coach's car, so he gets his comeuppance at the end.
The check was good! Oh, it got lost in the mail! Wait!
Because we don't really like this guy. I don't know why they had to win this. It doesn't have to do with the plot, the regular story. I'm curious where Zoey and Chase are at after that dance episode. Like, this is such a weird turn of events. And like, if we're not gonna stick with the basketball team, and we're not gonna stick with this disc golf team anyway, why do they need to succeed in what they're doing? Like, it doesn't matter. The show is just ridiculous. It's like starting to get pointless, and it's making me mad. Speaking of which, the season finale, you know, season finales when shows finish their first introductory season and want to have a really enticing plot to keep the viewers watching and get ready for another season, perhaps. Yeah, Zoey 101 ruined all that for me. Season 1, episode 13 is called Little Beach Party. Everything that was exciting about the TV show so far is not present in this, and it's somehow like the weakest episode. There's not even plot in this. The first 7 minutes is everybody getting ready for exams. Zoey is complaining in her diary because it's been so hard and everybody expects her to help them. And I don't know why Zoey has this whole martyr mentality. She's very much like,
Be nice, but I have my own exams too, you know, and it's not like anyone offers to help me study, and I just don't see it.
All right, shh, just calm down.
I live for other people, and it's starting to bother me. Chase tries to affirm her that after the exams are over, they'll have a party and everything will be great and you don't have to worry about anything. This is the one conclusive thing about this season finale, is that we see that they're actually stopping their midterms or whatever it is that you are leaving the school to come back.
David, you left your underwear on the floor again.
I gotta call you back.
So Zoey's hyped, and the exam week ends, and it's time for everybody to go to the beach. Quinn tells everybody about this new coconut-smelling thing.
It does smell like coconut. I know, isn't it cool?
Man, I feel like taking a nap.
What? Yeah, we can't sleep. We gotta... We gotta...
Everybody passes out. Oh my god, they pass out again. It's season 1 and they already have a repeated through line with Quinn. And they end up waking up like hours later, and apparently they're pretty much missing the entire bus to get to the beach.
What? The last bus from Mystic Beach leaves at noon.
How are we gonna get there in 14 minutes? We have to, come on.
They find an alternative route and go the opposite direction, ending up at an empty beach.
Mystic Beach is exactly 57 miles north of PCA.
No, it's not. Mystic Beach is south of PCA.
And the entire episode is them essentially lost and stranded. Like, their phones don't work, they have to figure out a way to make fire, but there's not anything really at stake because we know they're gonna be okay. And it does take them a little too long to be like, oh, we're gonna make the most of this and have fun instead.
Anthony, you've got batteries in that boombox? Uh-huh. All right then, let's crank up some music and quit being a bunch of lame losers.
Yeah!
And I feel like that doesn't also solve the problems they had, like you still are stranded on an island. It reminds me of those other Dan Schneider bottle episodes, like where Drake and Josh were left at the side of the road, or the Victorious cast was locked in that RV. Like, I feel like these shows like to have a bottle episode of the main characters getting stuck somewhere, having a good time, having a bad time, and just going crazy in the middle. I just... As a season finale, though, like, this is even crazier that they tried to have this in. Dustin loses his bathing suit and is stuck in the ocean, which you think is going to be the premise of the rest of the episode, but it's just an annoying segment that keeps coming and going, and nobody really helps him enough.
A big wave knocked off my bathing suit. Well, where is it? If I knew, would I be naked from the waist down?
And Quinn is able to make the firework. Okay, it's nice to see that she's helpful now. I feel like this episode would have been a lot more interesting if everybody had something to offer to their survival and they butt heads on trying to do it, and or like went the Jimmy Neutron approach where like maybe one person is super into it but everybody revolts against that person. But no, it's just Zoey studying for the exams and then they're lost at a beach. Can't really do anything about it. Nothing progresses to be worse. And the teacher ends up showing up and rescuing them.
I brought those pants you asked for. Where's your little brother?
He's still naked in the ocean.
Interesting.
Super anticlimactic. Nothing's happening. Like, I'm not worried about what's going on next season. I don't even care if they wake up. Oh yeah, they faint again. Another episode ends with everybody fainting. But this time it's like scary because it's the teacher's pickup truck. Like, why do you have a bunch of teenagers asleep in your trunk? He also falls asleep by taking a sniff of whatever that coconut thing was.
Oh, this looks comfy. All right, I'm right over here. If you,
And this episode just feels like a bullet list of things that are happening. As I'm telling you guys this episode, it just feels like it's like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And none of it brings out some interesting sides of the characters. None of it progresses the plot. We got a conclusion of Zoey and Chase's love journey at the end of episode 11, so like these last two are just like, what are you doing to me? If I were Nickelodeon, I would not have renewed the show for another season. Like, it just feels like this really weird experimental comedy drama TV show that doesn't necessarily have a through line, nor does it know when it wants to be funny or wants to be serious. The plot lines get real and the characters have actual stakes to deal with, but because they're such terrible people, it makes it really hard to even want to see them succeed. I remember when I was little, I gave the show a lot of slack. I thought it was funny. I definitely would watch it if it was on, but I remember never laughing, and I don't really know why I was watching it. And looking back, I don't see any reason to keep watching it. Like, it's not funny enough, it's not dramatic enough, and it doesn't even hold a place in history. And I could forgive all of that if the main character was not so bland. Like, Zoey 101, her character is just either whining about somebody else's problems, trying to do favors for other people. It just feels like she doesn't have like a solid sense of ground. I mean, her biggest actions were when she wanted to revolt against the guys or make peace with people. And if you guys like astrology, that's very Libra energy. Zoey's definitely a Libra. It is beyond me that this show goes on for 3 more seasons. And I'm terrified that if this video does well, I'm going to have to do more of these. And I mean, I don't mind doing it. I just, gosh. Yeah, I remember, like, the only thing people really talked about with this show is, like, Zoey and Chase's connection, which is crazy because it only comes up, like, once every 2 or 3 episodes. And being a show of only, like, 60 episodes, like, not even half of these episodes are about that. So if you're growing up in the 2000s watching Nickelodeon, there's a 60% chance you're going to get a really boring episode of television. At least Victorious took this concept and made it funnier and more enjoyable to watch and understands what it actually is. But this feels like a step down from Drake and Josh. Like, I don't know what Dan Schneider was doing, or his team, because going from all that to Drake and Josh was great, but going from Drake and Josh to PCA, no thank you. They're so lucky they saved themselves with iCarly, or else this entire network would have went down. But what do you guys think? I know I have a lot of really intense opinions, but it's because this show evokes a lot of confusion in me, and I don't really know what to make of it. And I really want to find a reason to watch it, but every time I think about its little minute details, storylines, like, I'm very turned off by the idea. And this entire video felt like a homework assignment. Granted, one I feel grateful to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little failure of a show. Okay, we did it. You let me put you through 13 episodes of summaries. Now let's get to the real important stuff. Let's rank all the episodes from least to best. Let's get started. So Little Beach Party, mainly because this is the season finale. Like, why have such an anticlimactic end? You set up all these boys versus girls, and it ends with them just getting lost at the beach. I guess you could argue they're getting along now. It's kind of the end of an arc, but I'm still looking for hints of Chase and Zoey. Even something going wrong. It feels like barely anything happens except for Dustin losing his trousers. Zoey doesn't grow. There's no need to even watch more, in my opinion. If it were funnier, I would excuse it, but this one just isn't. So Little Beach Party is last on the list. Then we have Backpack. See, the reason this one is so low on the list is it's just really boring. And I don't completely agree with Zoey in this scenario, especially when she's like, I'm not going to open up a backpack place, and Mindy literally does. It's the one where I realize she really doesn't have a personality. She just responds to things. Like, she, as a character, is so bland. Like, maybe it's the acting, but I feel like it's too random for what she feels passionate about. Like, she wants to do the backpack, she wants to help her friends, but then she automatically doesn't. And I'm not understanding her. But even going against Zoey, maybe if Mindy stayed a little bit longer, there'd be a little bit more development there. But it doesn't seem to follow any one character, leaving them all kind of in the dust. I'm still having trouble finding out more about any of these characters. If I had to name something good, though, it would be Zoey giving that jukebox at the end. Like, I know the writers are trying to make us like her by seeming selfless, but I'll suspend my disbelief. I think this was a good one. The reason Prank Week is so low is because this title is just misleading, and it bothers me. My expectations did not match the level of drama that happened. Like, I was expecting a really light episode. It's a perfect example of how you don't know how to expect to laugh or follow the characters in a serious tone. This show just constantly does that. I'm glad Zoey made a sacrifice for the girls, but at this point it was so early in the series for me to believe that she would even leave for a second. Her name is in the title, for God's sake. Like, why would she ever leave PCA? I thought Dean and his boss were super funny in this one. Like, definitely cool to watch the girls versus boys. But we didn't really get a peek into any of the characters, kind of like the backpack one, too. Personally, the concept is great. It just should have been renamed. Then we have the pilot, Welcome to PCA. This one wasn't super crazy. It had fairly light personal touches. It felt like it was doing what a pilot is supposed to do, not somebody having fun with a pilot. I got to the plot, the conflict between the boys and the girls, and the importance of PCA, but they didn't stick to any of these hobbies or interests, making this overall experience just kind of pointless. Like, Chase literally does a play later. Like, clearly we don't know any of these people better. That legacy moment when Chase falls on his bike is barely interesting. I wish I understood more about Zoey and cared more about Chase to actually follow this, but it's not interesting. It's definitely an effective pilot and it stands alone, but the entire series almost makes it look worse. And it's not what they meant to do. They set up a world in a great way, but it's just not memorable. Then, of course, Spring Fling. First of all, the incorporation of Drake being in it made it go up on the list. It's also a little funnier than the other episodes, so I'll give it that. I like getting a peek into the Dean and his boss, but it's a little bit repetitive when it comes to these dance episodes, like where the PCA is having an event and nobody wants to go. Like, it's not interesting. If they didn't do 2 of these episodes, I wouldn't have to view this as the lesser of it. And the resolve of Zoey's design being what gets Drake to play is pretty anticlimactic. Sure, we learned a little bit more of the PCA history, but that was about anything worth watching. Then we have Defending Dustin. This one's a little bit higher than the rest, because they do the comedy really well when they choose comedy. It coincides the A and B plot with Dustin confronting the bully, which feels like a good writing choice. Having Zoey and Chase looped into everything, we get an idea of their character goals and what they find important. I hoped they'd stick to this, and the janitor is so funny, but obviously never comes back. I think that would have been really nice if we didn't just have interchangeable adults that we can never connect to any, and it's just... oh gosh, it reminds me of what Zoey 101 could have had. I like learning about Dustin and think he's a really good character. Overall, it's not bad, it just was a bad representation. Oof, disc golf. Okay, so this is a really funny concept. I'm noting the episodes get higher on the list the more focused it is. Like the fact that Nicole's plot was more heavy in this one is finally interesting. Like not being about the boys, like that's good. Nicole is only like boys up until this point, like she didn't have a personality. And I feel like Zoey is actually an impactful person in this as the team captain, and therefore her choices and sacrifice to have Nicole be on the team felt a little more meaningful. It's annoying that the adults are still interchangeable and I'm not connecting to any of them, and it's even a little weird that the coach is an enemy and then also never comes back. Like that part takes me out of it. Although it does give some funny jokes. Michael and Quinn as a combo is definitely interesting. Change of pace for the show for sure. And the stakes being raised as the episode goes on makes it really exciting to watch. Like the fact that they'll have to run miles if they lose is kind of funny. The twist of having prisoners be on the opposing team is what serves the episode the best. Like if this was a comedy, this would have been really good. And it would have even been a better finale than Little Beach Party, which barely did anything. At least this has stakes. This could have just came earlier into the season. It would have improved its overall view of the show for me. I was a little bored by the play. The play is kind of like the pilot where it focuses on one specific class and all the characters kind of getting through it, but it did feel a little too random to have Chase have written the show and not have this trait used ever again. I like seeing that he used to be the female characters, like that was to die for, and how far he goes to impress Zoey gets concerning and therefore funnier to watch. Speaking of Zoey, the reason this is so low on the list is because of how she had feelings for Logan. Like, what a crazy thing to have happened. Like, Chase has been spooning over her all this time, and not only was she not an interesting character before, but learning she had an interest in this guy made me feel like everything I learned about her thus far is not what I thought it was, or worse, she's super shallow and would like Logan, or somebody like Logan, way earlier than Chase. Neither characters are great, making this episode even worse. Like, I didn't want to see the worst sides of both of them. I wish it was rooting for someone in this, but the actions of the characters are just so hard for me to defend sometimes. But all around, you can't hate a theater episode. I do like seeing characters put on a play. New Roomies is definitely a step up from the pilot. I like learning about Dana and Nicole, and think they're actually really interesting characters, and are pretty devoted to following them as the series continues. If anything, it did kind of a better job than the pilot. For some reason, a part of me always thought this was a pilot growing up because of how little the characters knew each other at this point, and the conflicts going on between them is so funny. Quinn experimenting with Zoey as she's asleep is even crazier. It makes me think that this whole world has a lot wackier characters than I could have imagined. And seeing how far Chase is going to get that date with Zoey is really funny in this way, and not as creepy because of his direct intentions, but this is where the episodes start getting a lot better. Okay, so here's when we start getting into the fun ones. Next we have Quinn's date. I put this one on because of how funny this concept is. Like, Zoey lying about Mark saying yes to a date with Quinn is so funny, and just trying to make it work is, like, insane. If this were a comedy, I would think this was an amazing show, but out of context, it doesn't save the uncomfortable tone. It just gives a glimpse into what could have been if it were good. It does annoy me that Mark ends up going out with Quinn in the long run, because it's like, dude, that's not cool. And I love an episode that focuses on a singular character, and Quinn is very interesting, so I like watching and getting to know her. Especially since Zoey 101 continues to lose their characters in each other, the more they have like ensemble-like episodes. Overall, just Quinn's Date is probably one of my top recommendations if you haven't seen Zoey 101. Then we have School Dance. So this did the spring fling a little bit better. I like the concept of pairing dates online. It makes me feel like technology is a part of the series' identity, along with like Jetex and Bliss. The characters' conflicts take the main stage, which makes the drama and comedy mix more naturally, but the Michael jokes don't really age well. It was a little bit racist back then. Having the characters come together is really sweet, but Zoey's feelings for the new guy over Chase makes me lose more respect for her. There's Logan, and it seems like she has feelings and emotions for everybody but Chase. She continues to be a reactionary character, seeking nothing out and just complaining about how things come to her, which is definitely a big character flaw and makes it hard to watch sometimes. If this were like a season finale, which I actually thought it was, like that scene with Zoey and Chase is the closest thing they've ever gotten into a relationship in the first season, it would have improved this whole season. It would have felt like a story arc had concluded. But the fact that there's 2 more episodes after this almost kind of takes it down a notch. I guess Nick just wanted to stick to an episodic route. They would dive into serial aspects of long-term relationships, but then they would have a whole episode that's a bottle episode. They didn't want to risk too much. Next, we have Webcam. So this is at the core what the show should be. It perfectly complements the pilot. It feels like a natural progression as it gives us a glimpse into every character and gives them a chance to make a selfless decision, something that kind of happens a lot in this episode. Even though there's a lot of miscommunications and funny issues, it's really good at doing what Zoey 101 does best. I felt like the more I learned about Logan, the more I hated him, but in a good way. It keeps me wanting to watch to try to figure him out. The karma factor works great for this show, and I feel like shows that milk the karma for the antagonist is always good, seeing how Logan pulls the dean out of the shower and ends up causing his own humiliation. I like how edgy the concept is. It almost kind of reminds me of an old Drake and Josh plot. One of those things that made that show really memorable. And if the show kept up with this balance of comedy, characters, and important scenarios, I think it would have been a lot better. We get introduced to the sushi place and see Chase work a job, which is really funny. This is one of the rare glimpses into what the show could have been. And that leads us to the #1 episode, Jetex. Yeah, it kind of does everything that all the other episodes did, just as well. I'm not gonna say it's an excellent episode, because it's not an excellent show, but it's really funny to watch the characters work as trios and try to create the perfect promo for their class assignment. And I'm gonna kind of excuse the fact that they're hopping classes so much in this show. I just feel like at this point I really know who the characters are, and the jokes are spot on. And the dating episode, it involves technology in a way that only Zoey 101 feels like implementing. iCarly, Drake and Josh, all the other Dan Schneider shows don't really commit to the branding outside of just a couple gags, but this show seems to really commit to it. And if you're gonna commit to it, I guess own it. Quinn's funny in this episode. Nicole are their worst selves in the best way. It's like spring fling if people were against each other instead of on the same side. And that brings back the girls versus boys dynamic. And it's just an all-around good example of Zoey 101. If there were anything positive I had to say about this show, it's that when it was at its best, it was definitely really unique and interesting. But that's as good as I'm gonna get with this. Now that we've experienced it all, it's clear to me, Zoey 101 is a hodgepodge of indecision. Sometimes it leans into being a comedy where scenes are driven by non-realistic circumstances, funny concepts like banana trees or prisoners in a disc golf team, or the characters make insane decisions like faking an entire date, or there's a guy bonding over a girl so much that he's manipulative about it. Other times it's drama, following 2 teens at this dormitory as they develop feelings for one another, and how the genders kind of work together to make PCA their home. They somehow try to mix both at the same time, making neither effective, canceling out any step it could take toward realism with the jokes, or vice versa, where the whole plot is a joke, but consistently interrupted by deep character motives, which is kind of random. I personally blame the exclusion of a laugh track. I think at the time, they didn't know how to understand what an audience would find funny, which is confusing because Ned's Declassified wasn't that bad, neither was Big Time Rush. If you want to figure out more about the tone, I just recently did a Victorious and Zoey 101 comparison. You guys could check that out. This show is a big disappointment to me. I was hoping there'd be redeemable qualities, but there's a lot less than I thought. It's definitely within the jokes, but I'm not looking forward to watching the rest of the series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.